love and connection is also a resource that we all need. We know that babies that are left without touch and connection really suffer. And so in our life, right, it's love, food, water, and love is just as much of a resource. And in everything that we just talked about, the world that we exist in, where sex is so taboo, where you're not allowed to like cuddle a friend without it being way too weird and whatever complicated. Often, many of us find that level of connection with a romantic partner. And then that's the one person that we share, that we have these more intimate parts of ourselves that we feel comfortable with showing. So that's your one source of water. Now, if someone says, "Can I have some of that in a desert?" your body is going to say, "Absolutely not."
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Seanydoo. Hello, and welcome to Situaseans Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Williams, aka Seanydoo. You can call me Sean, Seanydoo. Does not matter to me. I'm just glad that y'all are here. I have a special guest here. My guest is a sex and relationship psychotherapist, host of the internationally ranked podcast, Modern Anarchy, and author of the psychedelic jealousy guide, crafting secure non-monogamous relationships. And she also published her first research study on relationship anarchy. Please welcome to the show, Dr. Nicole Thompson.
Hello. So happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Yes, I have worked very hard in the last couple of years. So I'm so excited to be here, and hello to all of your audience. Such a joy.
Absolutely. Yes. So great to have you here and hear some of your expertise. So yes, like I'm so excited. And for the listeners that are tuning in for the first time, like this is Situaseans Podcast. We talk about dating, relationships, mental and emotional life experiences. Ooh, fucking we. And today you are all in for a great surprise, because we'll be talking about what it really means to challenge the traditional rules of love, intimacy, and connection. So all the great things that Dr. Nicole is an expert on. So she is going to definitely help us out here.
Happy to be here. Happy to do it.
Yes. So kind of like starting out, can you kind of tell us like where you're dialing in from? What part of the world are you in?
I am in the beautiful city of Chicago, and thank God, because there's a lot of hot, juicy queerness out here, which is amazing. I feel tremendously lucky to have such a strong queer community out here.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm actually from Chicago.
Right, we did. I heard. Right, because I'm from LA, just north of LA, and we flipped.
Exactly. We do a little, right? Exactly. So that's so funny. Yeah.
Enjoy the warm weather for me, please.
Yes. So I'll try to send some good weather vibes, your way as well. So yeah, we'll
take it.
So what are some of your favorite things about Chicago since you've been there?
Oh gosh, I mean the food for sure. I mean, come on, like you can get anything you want. Like right now, you want that? You'll find it like in a good little radius. You could have any amount of food. I love that there's the lake, because coming from LA in that area, the ocean was such a huge part of my grounding, of just feeling like a small little human being in a big world, and that grounding actually of that. And so I love that I'm only like a 10-minute bike ride from the lake. And so I just go there a lot in the summer. And really it's the people. I've fallen in love with all the people that I've been here for the last almost, 8 years, and just really, you develop deep relationships, and then you're like, oh, this is my home now. I love all the beautiful people I've connected with.
Absolutely. Yeah. Chicago's definitely a foodie city. And yeah, for those of you like that have not been to Chicago, I definitely recommend it. You all would love the food there. So it's such a great time. And you also spoke about like the, like the vibrant queer community in Chicago.
Yeah.
And like I definitely agree with that. So before I moved to LA, I was living in Irving Park, which is right next to Wrigleyville. So like like a very vibrant queer community. Is like we love it over there. Yes. Every year I march in the Chicago Pride Parade. So I'll be back there in June this year. So I'm hoping to do it again.
Oh, great. I'm running a queer ketamine group for Pride in June. So talk to me. We can do some work
Yes,
together.
exactly. Have to do some kind of collaboration for
Yeah,
sure.
totally, totally. Yeah, it's such a joy. I feel, coming from my very conservative background, it's really transformational being in a space where that's the energy, right? Boys Town, all of this, right? All of that energy that is brought into here. I don't think I could be the sex radical that I am without that level of community and the presence and the play parties and all those sorts of things that are alive in the city of Chicago.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Chicago is just like it's such a accepting city and there's so many different like people out there like and just so many different creatives and so many different spaces. So
Yeah.
I do think that you're in a great hub over there and even the community that you're building with everything that you're doing with your services and like the clients you take on. And it sounds like you got clients all over the world. It's
I
not just
do, yeah,
Chicago.
yeah, I do. Yeah, I run 2 different group programs each year, and one's on sexuality, one's on non-monogamy, and right now, the furthest client I have is in New Zealand. I got New
Wow.
Zealand, Norway, right? We got a couple of people in the US. Yeah. So I think it's mostly the podcast. It reaches so many different people that are really craving this new way and really ancient way, but a different way of looking at relationships and love and connection. And so that community is very strong. And so, yeah, it's a joy. And there's also so much cultural research I have to do when I'm working with different clients to understand the different context of where they're at because it's often very different than our culture here in America, especially around topics like sex.
Oh, absolutely. Especially, like even to your point, because like, yeah, there are like other regions, other countries that kind of shut down or and that don't allow people to have that freedom of expression. And and like in many ways we're kind of experiencing that right now. But
Yeah, 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 exactly.
but yeah, I'm glad that people like you are still, doing the hard work and letting others, like letting others know the importance of freedom of expression. So, thank you for being you and thank you for being such
Yeah.
an expert in all of this.
It's such a joy. It's such a joy to do this work. Truly, truly. It's so life-giving to me. And so thank you for that. And thank you for all the people who have supported me, the podcast that I run, right? Like doing that for the last 5 years, each guest that has said yes to joining me in that has really shaped and formed me. And so in many ways, I am the formation of so many different people that have supported me, mentor so many people. So my gratitude is really deep for my community.
For sure, for sure. And like I can tell that you have like such a supportive like base and even just like
Mm.
looking at like your Instagram page, I'm like, oh yeah. Like and even like looking at your website, I'm like, who did her website? I need to fucking
Me!
hire that person.
I did
Okay,
that.
I'm gonna have to hire you.
Okay.
Cause I was like, hold on. This website is way too damn visually appealing to just have been done by just anybody.
Yeah, like, I'm a wicked perfectionist. I'm just gonna say that right now. Like, the amount of hours I've spent on that website, almost wanting to pull my hair out just to learn how to do, like, breakpoints on different oh my god, like, yeah, so I really have committed to loving every area of the word.
For sure. And for those of you tuning in, like we'll definitely have like the website and everything linked in the bio of this description. That way you
Yeah.
all can definitely get in contact and work with Dr. Nicole. But kind of starting things off too as well. So I want to know, even coming into like what you're doing now in your profession, I want to know what was your journey that led you to where you are now? Tell me your life story.
Oof, how much time do I got? How deep do we go?
We got about an hour.
Good, okay, cool, 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 cool. Uh, yeah, so going all the way back, I was raised in a very fundamental Christianity space. I still wear my purity ring. We can talk about why and how, and this is a fun story. But I was raised very conservative, and so it was the classic messaging that you really think of sex with one person for life, absolutely no masturbation, and dare you ever think about queerness, you should be praying, right? And
Right.
so, like, yeah, just like younger me is watching, did you watch that one movie, with Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried, the Jennifer's Body?
Yes.
Oh
Mhm.
god. My younger self is watching that and getting so turned on. by the time where they kiss.
Yeah.
But in my Christian paradigm, I had no framework for that. I was just like, "Oh shit, that's weird. Okay, let me pray that away. That is, oh no, oh no." So like the longings were there from a very young age, but having no framework, my heterosexual desires like had more place. But I just was thinking, oh, I'd wait until I get married. That did not happen. It was a deeply shattering experience. It was with someone that I loved, but afterwards I just felt like I was so broken. And part of that comes from the context of my sex education. I went to a Christian high school, so you really double down on the Christianity when you're there for Sunday church,
Oh, yeah.
youth group on maybe a Tuesday night, and then every day of the week you're getting it in your classes. So that was really what I was coming from. Deep, deep, deep conservativeness. Like so much so that I was condemning other queers. Like I was the person that would be first to raise my hand of saying, that is sin. How dare you? And when you look back, it's like, I wonder why I was so passionate.
Right. Yeah.
Why did I care so much?
Right.
Um, right. Uh, mhm. And so my upbringing with my school, their sex education, which I would properly call sex propaganda, if anything, was they had people stand up in chapel. There was a blue piece of paper and a pink piece of paper because obviously, again, heterosexual sex, nothing else in this world.
Right.
They
As
s-
if nothing else exists.
no, 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 no. Of course. They stuck so much glue on each side of the paper, and then they put the two pieces of paper together and said, "This is what happens when you have sex with somebody, and this is what happens when you try to leave that person." And the paper ripped. And then they said, "And who's going to want this broken piece of paper?"
Oh my god.
Exactly, right? Exactly. Right now, so at the time, I got my purity ring. I'm like, this is why I don't have sex. I am here and I am holy. As a therapist now, I'm like, holy fuck, that's so problematic. So
Yeah.
problematic. There are so many people in the world who have not had non-consensual experiences at minimum.
Right.
And to
Yeah.
be telling them that they're broken like that, that is not trauma informed, it's trauma inducing. And we need to call that out. That's highly problematic, let alone the people who have had pleasurable experiences like I was lucky to have from my first experience, but then just sobbing afterwards because I felt like I'd broken thing, the one thing that made me worthy and that no one else would ever want me. And so from there, I'm off in my college years. I'm a born again virgin, really committed to the path. Unfortunately, I have a sexual assault experience that really changed everything for me and took me through a pretty, yeah, psychologically
Wow.
deep time of what is happening now that this has happened to me. And that's a whole long story of what it means to get through that. But that's really what brought me into psychology. I started going to see a therapist. That's a big no-no in the Christian community. That's not what you're supposed to do. That's very secular. You were supposed to go talk to a pastor and get help over there. And so I was doing kind of the naughty thing of going to a therapist office, which is so wild where I'm at now. But that's what I was doing. And so I went back to therapy. And from there, I was planning to go to med school because I'm a first gen student. So neither of my parents had gone to college at all. And very typical first gen, they're like, you're either a lawyer or a doctor or don't do anything at all, right? That's like very
Right.
common pressure. And so I was planning to be a doctor and go through that path and started volunteering as I was doing all of my training for that. And I became a sexual assault counselor. So I
Yeah.
started doing a lot of that work. And there was a moment when part of what that work looked like is I would go to ERs and then I would sit with people in the emergency room who were having kits done for legal cases. And so I'd provide emotional support. And there was this moment where a doctor had come in to do the kit and did the kit, and I was there for the support. And as the doctor walked out, she was there very briefly. She just said, "Great, I've got all I need. I hope Nicole can make you feel better," and then walked out the door. And it was such a like shattering moment for me to think like, why would I ever want that role? I understand it's a beautiful and important role, but the coldness and the transactional nature of all of it. And I was just sitting there and that was the moment I decided for myself, okay, I want to be the person that sits next to people sits next to them in the pain and the suffering and all of that. And so I changed everything and I went to clinical psychology. I started studying how to work with trauma, how to support people. And in that process, realized that we do a lot of talk about trauma, but once we work through the trauma, what's next?
Yeah.
It's pleasure, okay?
Right, yeah.
And so that's where I got really passionate about like, cool, I can take my clients through that, but how do I help them with this next level? And got very passionate and did my research on non-monogamy and relationship anarchy and what it means to liberate sexuality and all of those things. And so that's like the big picture now when you look back on it of what really got me to the space of being so passionate and the work that I do. It's deeply personal and also the professional work that I've done over the years.
Wow, that's amazing. Cause yeah, even just hearing like your story and how you took these experiences and yeah, you made something better for yourself and you discovered a new part of yourself that you wouldn't have known unless you went out and yeah, and went and chased after it. So that's just amazing. And even just going past shattering all of the different ideologies that were kind of forced on you growing up,
Yeah.
that's not easy to get out of. And so the fact that you was able to get out of that as well, like that's also amazing. So yeah, yeah.
Thank you. There's been a lot of tears.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of tears and a lot of big, like, what is life? What am I doing? Why am I here? So my work with psychedelic assisted psychotherapy definitely played a key role too in a lot of this transformation, right? Because those
Yeah.
are some of the spaces that clients experience when you take a psychedelic of what is happening? Where am I? Am I human? What are words, right? So it really had a lot of crossover too.
Absolutely, and even talking about the psychedelics, I wanna get more into that because that is so cool too, and,
Yeah.
like, I never, like, did like, psychedelic therapy, so I definitely wanna hear
Yeah.
more about this. So, even just using these psychedelic assisted, like, psychotherapy practices, I wanna know, how does your clinical therapy work in psychedelics and to inform your understanding of sex and relationships, and even with your
Oh,
clients? How, like,
yeah, there's
how they can do all that, yeah.
so much, so much. I think the big wide place I'd want to start with is bringing the frameworks of set and setting into our sexuality. So we can talk a little bit more about that. In the psychedelic community, there's not a bad drug, right? I will have one client who tell me acid was the worst drug of my life. It was horrible. I never want to do it again. And another who says it was the most profound, deeply spiritual healing experience of my entire life, right? It's not the drug itself that does that. It's the set and setting. And so when we talk about that in the community, it's the mindset that you're experiencing. So that's everything on the internal, right? In terms of what's going on inside your psyche, your body, all that sort of stuff. And then there's the setting. Where are you taking the drug? What's going on in the world around you, right? And I'm also a relational psychotherapist. So the internal is shaped by the external. So I could just layer all of that together. But for simplicity's sake, we have the internal and the external, right? And those are the things that make the experience. So ketamine is one of the only drugs that we have legally able to use right now in therapy. That's always changing and evolving, and I'm hoping for a different world where there's more options. But right now, ketamine is what's legal. And so I have worked with clients who have experienced ketamine at Burning Man and then come into the therapeutic space and they're like, this is not the same drug. I know this is not the same drug, but we know, right, depending on how
Yeah.
pure what they got, that's first off a whole other thing. Please test your drugs. There are so many spaces that you can get information on that. Please test all your drugs, right? And so, depending on the purity of what they've got, though, right, it can be such a fundamentally different experience because of the setting that they're in and the container that is created and the intentionality that is brought to the work. And so typically when we do this work, it's very different than, say, a biomedical clinic, which is also available. There are a lot of places in Chicago, other parts of the world, and globally. I've worked with some clients in different countries as well, where you can go in and get a infusion or a shot, right? But there's no therapist with you.
Ah, yeah.
So I would often get new client calls being like, I had this really intense experience. I don't know how to process it, or I felt really vulnerable and no one was there to hold me during that experience. It was deeply charged and scary. I want to try it in a new space, right? And so The therapeutic frame is really combining the power of psychotherapy with the tool of the psychedelic experience. And it's not just the psychedelic, it's really the tool and then the integration that we do afterwards. So we would usually meet with a client for a couple of sessions beforehand so that you can feel safe with your therapist. That's huge. You're going to go
Yeah.
into that experience. Psychedelics are vulnerable.
Yeah.
Vulnerable as hell, right? So this isn't just a like, "Hey, drop into my office, we'll do this today" thing. That is not how this works, like, we have to meet for a couple of sessions beforehand so that you feel safe, you have an intention, right? And with intentions, we talk about that kind of as a light post, right? So when you're in the psychedelic space, you can go lots of different places, but we have a light post, the intention where we're trying to get and what we want to focus on with that. And I always love to say that no intention is an open intention. So
Ah.
I
Gonna have
know
to
many people.
trademark that.
Yeah. I mean, it comes from the community, so I'm reflecting community wisdom. Um, they, yeah, lots of people are like, "Oh, I just want to go dance," outside of therapeutic spaces. Like, "Oh, I just want to go dance. I don't know if I want to have this intention, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's great. That's like an open intention to just explore, right? That's lovely too." And then, yeah, I sit with clients who are going into that psychedelic space with them for the full journey, right? And take notes of what they experience, where they're going. And the biggest part of the work, though, comes from the integration. We'll have processing right after when you come back down, and you're in that vulnerable space where you have neuroplasticity going, you're making new connections. Some of your defenses are a little bit lower, so you can maybe process some stuff that's been maybe too charged or locked to be able to process in the past. And then in between each session, we have talk therapy as well for integration. And that's really where you get the most of the movement because you can do psychedelics all day long and not really have that change because you're not integrating the wisdom that is happening in each session. And so sometimes people will call that like spiritual bypassing, just taking the psychedelic again and again and again without integrating any of the pieces. And so the therapeutic model is that mix again of the psychedelic as the tool, the set and setting of the container, and the work that you're doing with the intention, as well as the integration that happens with the work.
Wow, yeah, that definitely makes sense. Yeah, because I definitely love therapy and like the human mind and like, what makes us us and like the behaviors that we, display. And of course, it's a reflection of our experiences that we've,
Right.
been through. But yeah, so I can only imagine what the experience would be like, doing psychotherapy with, including like those different hallucinants. And so like, yeah, like that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's deeply profound work, very vulnerable. And the connections, the things that you're able to see in that, it's really, really a big heart expander in that way. It can also be deeply challenging. So I don't want to paint it in this like pretty rose colored glasses, like psychedelics can bring up some of the most difficult experiences as well. And so any therapist who does this work really has to understand that it's a surrender in that moment. You can set all the container right, but there is that surrender. And I think anyone who's done a psychedelic also knows that too, that especially the higher in dose you get, the more there's often that forced surrender experience where usually in a therapeutic setting, we're starting with a handshake dose, which is a smaller dose to start. Mostly because we want to build the safety in your nervous system to keep going to higher doses. And if you just drop you off the first day, that's a pretty intense, and your body's not going to want to be open to experiencing that. I've seen some clients who really want to come in focusing on trauma, and it's really intense, and the body can stiffen up, and then they'll say they didn't even feel the drug at all. And that's
Yeah.
really fascinating because I'm like looking at my nurse. I'm like, did we gave it right? And he's like, mm-hmm. So part of that is that whether you're doing it in a therapy office or you're doing it somewhere else safely, it's about how much can you relax to actually feel the medicine. The more that you're pushing and not sure if it's a safe space, the less you'll actually feel because your body is going into defense mode. And it says, hey, now's not the time to let go of all of your capacity and control. Let me hold, right? So wherever someone is doing this, we really want to think about how can we create safer containers so you can actually like really surrender into the experience.
For sure, for sure. And I'm sure, like, some listeners may have this question as well, especially since we are talking about like the therapy and like, like even like going deeper into like the mental health side of things. So do typically you know, does it go via like insurance or is it like an out-of-pocket expense? How does that work?
Yeah, it depends on each type that you do it with. Typically, Spravato, the nasal spray, is often covered by insurance, even Medicaid. Some of the lozenges are much more of a cheaper route. Once you start getting into the IV and the IM, so the IM is intramuscular and the IV, that is not covered by insurance currently in our current protocols with it. And then a lot of places do sliding scale. The clinic that I trained in was covered by insurance, but it depends on who they're paneled with, right? And all those sorts of pieces in terms of the therapeutic part. So the IVIM dosing, you'd have to pay out of pocket for, but the therapy hour was covered by insurance. So you could do that. And then you can step into more places that are out of pocket therapists, other sorts of things, right? Or sliding scale. So it's really dependent on each organization. But many people are prescribed, Spravato, the nasal spray, which is often covered by insurance, even
Oh, that's
Medicaid.
Wow, that's really good to know. Yeah, because I'm sure like a lot of people that are interested in seeking care and like working with you. Like I'm sure that's a popular question. Hey, how do I get started? For sure, for sure. I
Totally.
and actually I come from like the health insurance industry, so like yeah,
Mm,
I can tell you from inside knowledge that it is always complex and confusing sometimes.
and I hate it, so that's why I don't do it
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
I
yeah,
do sliding scale. That's
yeah.
my work, and
Mm,
especially that's why I love doing group work because I can really slide scale across different financial capacities and everything with my clients and the community that I've built is all honor system. I don't ask for people's pay stubs. It's all an honor system based thing, and the people who can pay. The people who need support get support, and then I have people who want to give more, knowing that that's the system that I do
yeah.
because I can't take insurance from New Zealand, as I noted, right? So then that's the tricky thing. Once you start working on a global scale, that becomes particularly not the
Yeah.
same game anymore. So,
Right.
but yeah, insurance is a beast. And as an anarchist, I've got lots to say about that one,
Yeah.
Let's not profit off of healthcare. Woo.
Yeah, it's messy. It is so messy. Ay, ay, ay,
Mm-hmm.
ay, ay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I kinda do have, like a question too, like, on top of that as far as,
Yeah.
like, everything that you do. So let's just say in the scenario, let's say if society were to hit, like, a reset button on
Mm,
relationships and we could, like, design from scratch,
mm,
how the rules about love, sex, relationship, like, connection, all these things, if you were to, like, delete it immediately and then kinda just do a reset on how or even just some type of, like, structure that could possibly work for most people, what would you replace that with?
mm. Yeah, the first word that came to mind was community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's the ancient wisdom of it all, right? Is we all come from communities. Previously, before we had much of the modern adaptations that we have, you couldn't do this by yourself. You would not survive. You would not survive through the seasons and all of the things. And so we came in community structures. And that's where so much of us found our purpose, our meaning. We thrive when we're connected to people. And so many of us today are in deep, deep, deep silos of just isolation, whether it's one person or even two people trying to raise one child or even Mm, wow, that is not how this has gone for centuries. This is a very, very recent time within the last couple hundreds of years, right? Where we're living like this. This is not normal.
Yeah.
If we truly want to look at the history of humanity, this is not normal what we're doing, right? And
Yeah.
so I think one of the biggest things I would want to reset is the isolation that we're all experiencing and to bring us back into connection with more people and that's so much of what my dissertation was on, which is relationship anarchy and the concepts of honoring how many different relationships we all have. Like right here, right now, you, I, and everyone who's listening to this, you already have multiple relationships.
Yeah.
Now, many people in our context do not have sex with multiple people, right? And so that's usually the frame of what we have here in America, which was colonized by white purity culture and Puritans, right? So that's a huge part of what the experience is on America, but not even the indigenous people that existed here, right? And so, like, we have to hold all these pieces of the cultural context. And so, my biggest hope would be that we could step back into more community and intentional relationships of really honoring. If we brought that level of intentionality to each connection that we have in our life, we would feel more resourced, more love, more connection, more presence. And so, for me, like, I'm all here to release the shame around sexuality and have that be something that people can have in their communities with multiple people. But I'm not here to say that that is the only way to exist. What I am here to say is we need community, okay? So start
Yeah.
investing and really putting time and energy into the people around you. And the more that you see how many beautiful relationships you have, it's kind of like increasing the saturation on the picture. You're like, wow, I'm actually loved by so many people in different ways and different levels, right? But like, I'm actually loved by a lot of people. So, one of my biggest pet peeves is when people are saying, oh, I'm so single. I'm single. I'm single. And it puts that framework of like, it's just me and no one else that loves me. And it's very sad. Like, I'm here for the
Yeah.
feminist empowerment of it too, where people are like, I'm single and it's great. But just that frame of, I am an island. Like, I'm single, I'm an island. And that's never the case.
Right. Yeah, that's so true because it's like, yeah, we all got somebody out there that cares about us. And to your point, yes, we do have these multiple relationships, like friendships, like the family, or like, like there's so many different roles that we each individually play in our societies or circles.
Yep.
So that is so true. And I do agree with you when it comes to community because like, yeah, we are made to connect with other people. Like we're not made to just, be on an island by ourselves for like for eternity. So yeah.
That's actually torture, right? Like,
It
what we do at the
is.
worst levels of torture is I'm gonna put you into isolation.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And going back to what you were saying, like even just as human nature, hundreds of thousands of years ago, like yeah, people, they were having multiple relationships, like in so many different senses, like like the earliest humans, yeah, they had multiple partners and things of that nature, and yeah, of course, like just as modern society kind of just led its course, yeah, it definitely kind of, put a different spin on things. And then with the Christianity and the crusades that happened in the
Yeah,
medieval times
right.
and all that stuff, yeah, definitely.
It's bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so a fun
yeah,
little history lesson for all the listeners, right?
totally. And the Christians don't love when I talk about King David in the Bible. He had 300 wives and 700 concubines. It was the chosen man of God.
Right,
I've
right.
got 3 lovers. I don't know. I'm not pushing for 300 and 700, like, stuff. Like, so, like, I don't think it's interesting how quickly we forget those pieces, like, even though it's in their text and, like, they would be the first one to cast a stone at me and my sexual practices and be like, "How dare you do that, defy that?" I'm like, "It's in your own Bible," and it was a very common practice, especially when, death rates were so high, to remarry. That's even in the Bible too, to remarry and the brother, like,
Yeah.
and we see it in cultures around the world today, in different cultures, and for many, like, even in, like, colder climates specifically, we see that there would often be a woman with multiple male partners, because of the resource scarcity, right? The if you had multiple women partners, you'd be having multiple children in a harsh climate, and that's not a good idea for the survival of your people, right? And so the
Mhm.
flip of that, of having one woman with multiple males, right? Like, there's just so many other cultures outside of our framework that have and do practice this, and wouldn't the words non-monogamy wouldn't even be an appropriate use of the language, right? Because that would be our lens applied to another culture. So they do not practice anything like monogamy at all, and so I find it really problematic when other people ask, like, "Oh, does non-monogamy ever work?" It's like, well, that's a cultural, yes, absolutely. There are cultures around the world, and anciently, yes. Like, so it's a bit of psychoeducation at that point, just to like say, absolutely, this does work. And I want to point your listeners in direction of Dr. Elizabeth Sheff, who is a sociologist who has written a couple of books and been on my show. And she was talking about how the research, because she does sociology, right? I do psychology, slightly different field. So she's studying more human patterns across different cultures. And what she's seen is that the more educated a woman is, the more likely she goes towards polyamory. And the less educated she is, the more it goes towards polygamy. I was like,
Mm.
ooh, that's political. We could talk about that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. There's a certain political party that would get an uprising after hearing something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say oops, but like I'm here. I'm here with my doctorate to talk about it, like come
Exactly.
at me.
Right.
Yeah. I got a 4.0. That was important to me. Like that was
Let's
important to me.
go.
I was like, I'm not fucking around with this shit. If you wanna I need some armor here to
Exactly. But yeah, I definitely agree. Like it's all about community at the end of the day. And even just in my own experience, so personally in my, like, I guess, quote unquote vanilla relationships that I've had in the past, I was only like, seeing like that partner. I wasn't seeing anybody else. But then when I was single, yeah, like I had entered into, like, other couples dynamics, and then, like
Sure.
gone to a couple of like play parties to try to, like, figure out,
Nice.
hey, what type of community do I vibe the most with, like what
Yeah.
experiences do I want to, and so, yeah, even just through those experiences, I like, not only was like my, I guess, just ideology like changed, like for the better, but it also kind of like pushed me to be more vocal about telling, people that may have, I don't know, this one person forever, this, like, hey, don't force your opinion on somebody else, like,
Yeah.
versus back then I would kind of be like, well, I don't want to say nothing because I don't want to, like cause trouble. But now I'm like,
Right.
hey guy, I understand, hey guy or girl, or they, like,
And yeah.
if that's your opinion, you can live your life the way you want to. Let this person live the way that they want to. Like, if it's consensual and everybody's communicating, hey, it is none of your business.
Exactly, exactly. It goes back to my queerness. Why was I condemning them so hard? It's almost like someone else's freedom was really scary to my restrictions.
Right. Yeah.
Right? It's like the people who are happy don't give a fuck. They're like,
Right.
yeah, do it. You want to go swing and have your play parties? Like, I'm happy over here with my lover. Like, I think it's the people who get really angry that they feel
Mhm.
like you're cheating the system that I'm restricted by. That's crazy. Like, how are you having multiple lovers? The people who are happy don't care. They're like, yeah, go do whatever you want. Like, I'm
Right.
happy at home. Like, what is the, so I really do
Exactly.
think I want to call that out for the people who get so vitriolic about it, because that used to be me too, right? And it's
Yeah.
a lot of internalization.
Yeah, and that's another reason too why I stopped going to, like, church, because, like, I grew up like Methodist and, like,
Oh,
Baptist, and so, like, those, services, not only were they 3-4 hours long, but also the messaging just wasn't it for me. And then I tried, what was it, non-denomination for, like, a couple
yeah,
years in my early 20s, because because I had stopped believing in my teenage years, because I went through some trauma growing up, from abuse from my
sure.
stepdad. So I was like, "Oh, if there's really a God,
Mm,
would he let all this happen to me?" And so, anyway, like once I did, like, try non-denominational in my early 20s, I, attended this one church on the north side of Chicago, and I just remember this pastor saying, "Oh yeah, well, we won't talk about marriages between man and man, woman and woman, or whatever those other people want to label themselves as, or their pronouns or whatever." I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, time for me
ah,
to stop going here." And so
yeah,
these days, I'm more so just spiritual. I don't even claim a
yeah,
religion. I'm just like, I believe that there's an energy, some type of energy out there, and that's, and like, yeah, I just look to that.
yeah. It's definitely not a he, him, white Jesus. Let's
Right,
just.
exactly.
That's also so wild to me. I'm like, Jesus was not white. Like, why?
Right. It's like bro was in the
Why?
sun all day. like for 33 years of his life. You mean to tell me that man was pale as day? Come on now.
With blue eyes?
With blue eyes. In the Middle East,
No.
Jesus of Nazareth? Oh,
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
I
That's
didn't
where
know
it's
it was
like,
Jesus of
okay.
Netherlands. No.
Exactly, exactly. The hypocrisy is so intense. I'm glad that you, like, had that moment to be like, "I'm out. This is done. This is no longer serving me." Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's definitely, I do think that sometimes people have these reactions because of like their own insecurities, like just like what you were
Yeah.
saying, and even going on top of that, how can like even people even navigate some of these jealousies and insecurities, especially in non-monogamous relationships and open type of relationships?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first, I'll re-underscore community, and then we'll get into some of the, like, psychological tools and skills. Again, community, right? When you think about an imaginary scenario where you are in a desert, you're very thirsty, you are lacking any sort of water, and suddenly you come across a small little stream, right? And you find it and you're drinking it. It's great. Oh my God, this is so exciting. And then someone else comes up. It's a small little source of water. Can I have some of that? Absolutely not. Now it depends on your ethics too. Some people would maybe share. Let's hello, hello. But like the animalistic parts of us would be like, absolutely not. This is mine. I will fight you to the death until you get that, right?
Hmm.
I like to think in the more humanistic, compassionate parts of ourselves. But I use that as a metaphor because love and connection is also a resource that we all need. We know that babies that are left without touch and connection really suffer, really suffer, really
Yeah.
suffer. And so in our life, right, it's love, food, water, and love is just as much of a resource. And in everything that we just talked about, the world that we exist in, where sex is so taboo, where you're not allowed to like cuddle a friend without it being way too weird and whatever, complicated, you have to understand then that human touch and intimacy, especially when you go into work every day and like the normal conversation is, how's the weather? You can't really say, hey, this happened with my dad and this sort of thing, or like, hey, this happened with my assault and this sort of that is like not the norm of connection, right? And
Hmm.
so often many of us find that level of connection with a romantic partner. And then that's the one person that we share, that we have these more intimate parts of ourselves that we feel comfortable with showing. So that's your one source of water. Now, if someone says, can I have some of that in a desert? Your body is going to say, absolutely not.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's where I was of like, that's so scary. I need this person. This is so essential to my life. And what I want to invite all people to understand first is that the more nourishing, vulnerable, authentic connections that you have, the easier this gets. Because we have relationships where it's mono-poly, so someone's monogamous and someone's polyamorous. How does that work? That monogamous person still has lots of other connections, and they're just not interested in having more sexual or romantic connections with other people. And those relationships do work. Dr. Elizabeth Sheff is one of them that we've talked about, right? So
Yeah.
important pieces to talk about in the world out here, and I'm grateful she's a doctor and can talk about that too. Um, and so the more that in any dynamic that you're in, because again, jealousy happens in monogamy, it happens in non-monogamy, it happens in all of it. So the more that you have people that you can trust, that you can love, more resources of flowing water abundantly into you, the easier it is to share. Just hands down. Okay.
Yeah.
So always gonna underscore that.
Yes. For sure, for sure, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because, and actually, I had, Ali Eisman on, last year.
Yeah. She's
Yeah,
on my show, yeah.
a mutual friend of ours, yeah, so she pretty much said the exact same thing that you said, so
Mm,
I'm glad that, yeah, like, that our listeners are kinda getting, like, that reminder because it's so true, and I think, again, like, just communication in general is just so key because, yeah, like, it's okay to be jealous because that's literally just human nature. That's what makes us us. Like, and like, yeah, I think yeah, if there's a way to kind of have that discussion, hey, I feel this way, or hey, I want to talk about how this is going to work, and you know, you can find something like that works for the both of you because, like, at the end of the day, if that person truly cares about you and you express how jealous you are, they're going to do everything. They're going to move mountains to make sure that you feel comfortable at the end of the day, and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the delicate dance between the work that your partner can do to make you feel assured and then the work that you have to do internally. Because I've had clients come to me where they're like, well, my partner's really, really good, actually. Like, they attune to me, they give me everything I want, and I'm still jealous. And they're like, this kind of sucks because now I realize that it's me. Like, oh no, like, I actually, like, there's something for me to do here because they're actually really good. Like, what? Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And so when I'm working with clients, one of the biggest things that I always start with is the body. This is huge. And it's important to know this for a psychedelic experience too, because the psychedelic experience will take you to so many different places in your body. Ketamine is a dissociative, but you can still have a lot of somatic experience, and that I've seen people move. Some of the other drugs like MDMA, other sorts of things really have an intense somatic experience. And so I am always holding that as a part of the work that I was trained in, as well as the trauma healing work and the pleasure work, right? Is what's going on in the body. And so, to even use myself as an example, when I'm coming out of purity culture and I'm first starting to do polyamory and I'm writing my dissertation on it and all this sort of stuff, I knew intellectually, like I knew a lot of intellectual stuff, right? Historically, this has always occurred. Around the world, this has occurred. I've looked at the research of how important novelty and diversity is in sexuality and how often over time in long-term relationships, sexual drive can go down. I had looked at specifically how women's desire drops off faster than men in monogamy. That's an important part of the research that needs to be talked
Wow.
about. Truly, women's desire drops off faster, like
Wow.
faster. So I know all of that, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
I'm doing my research. I'm like, cool, super cool. I got this intellectually. Now here's the bitch of it all is that you can read every book on swimming. You can read every book on swimming out there, but until you get in that water and you feel what that actually feels like in your body, you don't have a lot of knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's an
exactly.
embodied part of that you have to get in. And so like I intellectually knew this, and I get so many clients who are like this, like, I've read the books, I've read all the books, I'm here, I'm ready, and my body is panicking. Like, why am I panicking? Why is this so scary? And the reality is it's in often the unconscious and the years of classical conditioning. So in terms of classical conditioning, we have these stimulus paired with a response. And in so many books and things that you see in the world, it's like, if you fall in love with someone new while you're with someone else, it means you didn't love the first person, blah, 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 right? People will leave you. People will abandon you for the hotter thing, blah, blah, blah. All of that gets internalized.
Yes.
Every time you watch a Hallmark film, every time you see the Disney bullshit, Taylor Swift, used to love her. Wow, okay. All of that sort of
Used
stuff.
to.
I still do love her, but it's problematic. I'm not going to just sit here for
True,
that.
true.
She's got there's a
Love you,
lot
Tay-Tay.
there. I do love her. I do love her. She was one of my favorite artists for so long, but it's just, there's
Like,
more.
lately, there's been a shift, like, something what's going on, Taylor? Talk to us.
Okay, well, she said that her and Travis never fight.
I don't believe
That's
that.
exactly. That's not human. That's not. I am a therapist. I would say that's not human.
You know, I saw a comment. I remember hearing about that. Somebody had commented on like some Instagram post about that, and then someone had said, "Oh yeah, it's kind of hard to argue when your girlfriend's a billionaire." I was like,
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're like whatever you want,
right,
babe.
whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever you want. I'll be there. When's dinner? Yeah. I'm here for that feminist power dynamic, though. That's
Exactly.
nice.
Yes, yes.
um, yeah, but so like we are working with the body, right? Because of the classical conditioning, all of that stuff. And so when you first hear that your partner, for me, like one of the first examples was my partner just dancing with somebody else. And that's so silly. It's just like he went to a bar and just danced. But when he told me, I started crying at the restaurant. I was just like,
Oh,
and I'm non-monogamous, I'm doing
right.
this. And then he's like, yeah, I found this girl and we danced. And I was just like, okay, like, cool, that's good for you, like, shaking. And what's going on in my brain that I'm not even realizing at the conscious level is that all of the years of all of that stuff is just really flooding in and saying, he's going to leave you. You're not important. He found
Mm,
someone else better. And this is the thing that's going to happen. Right. And a lot of that isn't even conscious. It's just really that experience in the body. And so the first thing I always do with my clients, again, regardless of whether it's monogamy or non monogamy jealousy, is your body. Because when that happens and I'm starting to cry and I'm starting to shake, what is happening is that my brain has now moved into the older parts, like the amygdala, which is the fear response center. And so that's when we get activated in trauma responses like fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And truly, when that happens, your focus and active parts of the brain move to the amygdala and it's no longer in the prefrontal cortex. Now, your prefrontal cortex up here is where we make all of the executive thinking decisions, where we think logically, rationally, all of those things. And so, whether it's jealousy or even a fight with a lover or anybody in your life, when that happens, you feel it. You notice you tense up, your voice changes, your breath changes. That is your body going into the more older parts of the brain. And so, the first thing that I teach with my couples who are in conflict, my couples who are exploring non monogamy, is how do you assess that with the body? Pause and regulate. Maybe you go for a walk. Maybe you do a little bit of a meditation. Maybe you go for a run. Maybe you need to scream into a pillow. Okay.
yeah.
There are rage rooms,
Yeah.
and that's great. Take the kickboxing class. You need to metabolize the cortisol and the adrenaline and all of the stress hormones that are going through your body. And I feel like that's like one of the biggest places, even before we get to the narratives of what it all means, is like, how can we invite people to be in their bodies? And that will help for conflict of all things. Like you're noticing that tightness in the chest. Okay. Hey, partner, I am really getting activated. I'm going to go for a walk around the neighborhood and then I'll come back. I love you. Right? All of my anxious babes out there who then go, no, what's happening? Oh my God. No, I'm just going for a walk around the block to take a deep breath and I will come back. And I'll tell you what, your fight is going to be a lot better. It's going to be
Yeah.
a more of a stable conversation when you go for that walk rather than trying to like figure it out right there in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Sometimes just getting some air, just collecting your thoughts before you just go right to 10. Cause I know for me, even just going to like therapy and stuff like that, cause I grew up around like a lot of like, family members just yelling at each other. Whoever screamed the loudest
Yeah, your
was the most
body.
moral, whatever. Yeah. It just, whew, it gave me such anxiety into like my adulthood, but just going to therapy and like, working through all my past traumas and stuff. I like learned like in my early 20s that I pretty much developed this kind of it, I guess I don't know, I'd say like ways of behaving as far as like if I'm having a conflict with somebody, like I will never avoid conflict. If there's something to talk about, let's talk about it, right?
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
rather have a proactive response than a reactive response.
Sure.
Because when I was younger, it
Wise.
was way more reactive. Wait, what did you say? Wait, wait,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
so
I
work,
still do that
yeah,
sometimes.
right, yeah.
It's very human, you know? You're like, "No." Sometimes my partners will be like, "Nicole, you seem activated." "No, I'm not. I'm not right now. I am in my pleasure. I am grounded. What are you saying?" It's like, "See, I'm not Taylor Swift. I'll tell you right now that, like, as a
Right.
therapist, I get into conflict because 'cause I'm a human being, and I'm
Right.
always growing and learning, like, learning how to be better."
Exactly, exactly. So we're all just trying to, continue to improve ourselves.
Yes.
Nobody is perfect because I have my bad days too. And
Exactly.
for all the listeners, if y'all encounter somebody that says, "Oh, I'm done doing the work is finally finished," run, run, run.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say, run away from those people. Oh, because 'cause they're lying to you. They're
Exactly.
lying, straight up.
Did they even start the work?
Yeah, exactly, maybe not. Because beginning 1 is step 1 is beginner's mindset, like, that is step 1, like,
Exactly.
so
And so, so you have a podcast. I definitely want to talk about it and let our listeners know about it so they can go over there and tune in. So your podcast is called Modern Anarchy. Can you kind of tell us more about it and kind of walk us through what a typical episode is like?
Yeah. Modern Anarchy, what a journey. What is a typical episode like? Well, it's vulnerable, it's real, it's authentic, it's raw. It's like this level of conversation that we're having here, right? Of like, hey, we fuck up and here's what it means to keep trying. So many of the people that I have on the show are pleasure activists, experts, people in the field, as well as just normal humans as well who are doing this sort of work, who have been really passionate about what it means to challenge the status quo and to really create that other world where pleasure is not stigmatized, is not shameful, and to really honor the fact that our pleasure is political. That's a huge part of it, right? Our pleasure is political, and knowing that we are stronger together. And so, one of my biggest values I do in my pleasure practice work is the knowing that our pleasure is braided together. So
Yeah.
we're all in this together, every single one of us. And so it's about consciousness raising. And when I first started the podcast, I really wanted to have those level of conversations. I was really imagining people like my Mormon family, like how could I have conversations about this that could bridge the gap of what their understanding is and try to create that. And I spent time working in community mental health, which was, if your listeners are not familiar, community mental health is particularly all Medicaid and Medicare clients, clients who cannot afford therapy at all. And a part of my training with all of that is seeing how fundamental systemic oppression in terms of finances to knowledge and to wisdom and to healing. And so I was like, cool, I can make this show that is free and accessible to so many people without having to have
Yeah.
that wall of working together, right, in terms of pay. And so that was a really important piece. And so when people come to listen to Modern Anarchy, you're getting like raw, authentic conversations with experts and me and people who are really committed to showing up authentically and challenging the status quos to really destigmatize shame. And um, I cry, people cry. It's all about it. And sometimes I get feedback from people who are like, you were saying words I had never heard before around so many interesting topics. It's like that's a huge part of it is language, right? Like when I created a pleasure wheel.
Mhm.
So a lot of people who have done traditional therapy maybe are familiar with an emotion wheel. And the emotion wheel has all these different types of emotions like sadness or anger or happy, blah, blah, blah. And then it splinters off into all of these more finer emotions, right? That get more specific about what you're actually feeling from those broader ones. So I created a pleasure wheel, which is all about sexuality. And it's just, again, a starting point here, but it's different words that we can use to describe pleasurable experiences about what we want in our intimacy and our sex life. And it's a free worksheet I have on my website. I have a lot of different free worksheets, but that one specifically is about journaling to get really specific on your hottest fantasy, your most recent sexual experience, and writing out what actually happened there and what you enjoyed. And that gives us the language formation, right? So when I have guests on the show talking about their pleasure, you're listening, you're getting language formation because you're being surrounded by other people who talk about this without shame. And if you're doing that worksheet, you're getting the language for yourself. So many of my clients are like, God, I know how to touch myself so well, but my partner, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
can you write out truly like, what do you do and what do you enjoy? Because you're going to build more neuronal pathways, right? We're talking about psychedelics, new neuronal pathways. You're going to build new neuronal pathways of language, quite literally. Pleasure is often like a foreign language to many of us. We don't know how to describe it, we don't know what's going on. And so you're able to get more language to then be able to communicate much faster and ultimately have a better sex life in that way. And so, yeah, so many of the conversations are truly about pleasure and hopefully giving people more language to be able to form what they want in their connections and their desires.
That's amazing that you're providing such valuable key tools and resources because yeah, like I think sometimes people forget that sex is definitely a mental thing. You have to be in that headspace to be present and to, enjoy and for the other person to enjoy. And so, yeah, for like, I really appreciate you sharing that with us. So, for those, so yeah, we'll definitely make sure to link that in the show notes as well. So everyone can go and tune in. So yeah, like YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, please, please go check it out.
Yeah, it's available everywhere. And my website is modernanarchypodcast.com. That's where you can learn more about how to work with me, my group programs that I do each year, and all of the free worksheets. I also have a free educational newsletter that I send out once a week, all about this as well, which is such a joy to write for all my listeners.
Yes. All right. So you
Yeah.
see, you all are hearing it here first. So please go get those resources. Please visit Dr. Nicole's website and work with her. Dr. Nicole, you're also the author of The Psychedelic Jealousy Guide, Crafting Secure Non-Monogamous Relationships. Can you share with us about it?
Yeah. So while I was going through all of my training with psychedelics and my research with non monogamy, I started to see how similar these worlds are. Non-monogamy in our current context is like a psychedelic. It's gonna bend all of the walls of your reality of what you once thought was reality around love, right? And so I pair a lot of what I bring into my psychedelic experiences and the support and the holding that I have for that into the frameworks of non-monogamy. And so it is a free ebook. Again, that was a really important piece for myself of not trying to publish this with some publisher that's gonna put it behind a paywall of having to access it's 2026. I have a website and the ability for you to just download it yourself. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
I trust that people will work with me and do my group programs, and I will be well resourced by giving to the community. Okay. So, like, I am not worried about that. I want people to have this knowledge. And so it is absolutely free to download. And it gives you so many reflective practices to get really clear, as we talked about, on the set and setting of your practices. So that way you can build pleasurable non monogamous experiences. And I promise you that that is absolutely possible to have polyamory and non-monogamy that feels good and grounded and secure and expansive. And so that book is all about that, and it is free on my website as well.
All right, wonderful. We love it. So make sure to go ahead and get that, and we will have that down in the link as well for you all to go and get it. Yes.
Yeah, such a joy.
So let's go ahead and get into some of these listener submissions. So we got a few. So are we ready to unpack a few of these with me?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's do it. All right, you all. We got a few screenshots that listeners has submitted to us. So if you want to be part of the show and then like, that you want to get me and the guest to unpack anything, situationspodcast.com/submit. It's an anonymous form. So yeah, go ahead and submit all the stuff there. So these screenshots come from the dating app Hinge. This first
Mm.
one says, I know, right? Exactly.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, these are pretty wild. So let's see. So this first one says, I want someone who can match my freak, LMAO. I don't really know how to answer the prompts here. Is this hinged, green flag, or unhinged, red flag, deal breaker?
um, yeah, for me, that's a red flag, absolutely red flag. I really love someone who can communicate what their freak is. That means that if I were to go on a date with this person, be like, hey, cool, I'm ready to play with you. You're super hot. What do you want? They'd be
Yeah.
like, I actually don't know how to answer what my freak is. That as a dom or a top,
Hmm.
that is one of the scariest and unsafe experiences that you can have. I love subs, bottoms, whether it's me or anybody else who can be like, I like this, this, this. This is my limit right here. And this is actually what I really like. That is so hot. The
Yeah.
embodiment of someone knowing what they want. Mwah. So yeah, for me, that's a red flag. No, no.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you on this one. And as someone as a fellow Dominican community, I need to know what your preferences are or what is it that you want. Otherwise, I'm immediately turned off. I'm like, all right, well,
Yeah.
well, you go figure that out.
Exactly, and then come back to me, and then come back. Uh-huh, same.
This next one says, all I ask is that you are hot and obsessed with me. Is this hinged or unhinged?
The
This one's
laughter
a
says it
dicey.
all.
Right, I know, right?
Also red flag, red flag. Like, yes, I'm hot, but I'm not gonna be obsessed with you. This is not some 50 Shades of Grey where I show up when you tell me not to. That movie is fucked up. She's clearly first movie, she sets a boundary. She's like, I'm going to see my family, do not come. And then he shows up. That's obsession and not okay and not healthy. So what I love? Someone who's hot, can communicate, and has a deep community of people, friends, lovers, people, because that way we can have a balanced, healthy connection that doesn't go through this intense NRE of that new relationship energy where you just collide together and then absolutely shatter apart. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
I want some stable, hot, slow build, please.
Yes, I definitely agree with you on that one. Yes, yes. It's like we need healthy communication. I don't need anybody like, like stalking me or, right outside my
No.
bedroom window. Like,
No, no, no. But see, this is why they don't want me on a dating show as the expert, because I'd be like, no, we actually need to talk about this.
right.
That person on Hinge is the fun person for the
Right.
TV show. That's kind of unhinged, truly.
Yes. Like my favorite reality TV show is what's the one with I think it's Too Hot to Handle and Love Island. I love both of those. You will
Yep.
be phenomenal on that show. They need to have you on there.
Gotta teach some communication skills. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Like you would be so perfect. Like to have you as the expert on that show for sure.
I'm ready. I'm ready, universe. Give it to me. I said yes.
This last one says a shower thought I recently had. Why is it called post nut clarity and not coming? Like they spelled it coming to your senses. Is this hinged or unhinged? I like this one.
I do like this one. I think it's better than the other two that we got.
Yeah.
I do think it's true. Yeah. I mean, okay, that's good. I appreciate the humor and the comedy of it all. I think I love someone who can laugh and play and make jokes, right? Because those are the things that you want in a good sex life. Anytime that you're coming together with two humans, there's going to be weird blah 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 that happens between two bodies because we're humans and we have bodies. I feel really good when I can laugh with somebody about that. So somebody who's making jokes, all of that. Now, ideally, as much as possible, I recorded with Avita, who is a polyamorous educator, also well known within the space. And we were talking about on Modern Anarchy having sex that feels good before, during, and after.
Yeah.
So I do want to
Ooh.
invite that as a reflection here too. Is like, let's have sex that feels good before, during, and after, and not this coming to clarity at the end where you're like, what did I
Right.
do? Like, I really want everyone to feel like, yes, we're gonna have this sex. The sex is really good, and afterwards you're like, yeah, that was really great, rather than a little like, oh god.
Exactly.
So,
Let's get some
yeah.
aftercare in there. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And feel good about it. So,
Right.
yeah. But I appreciate the humor of this one for sure.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine like the responses this person must have. This person, if you ever want to get somebody to send you a message on a dating app, I think that prompt
That
would
will
do
work.
it.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
This was so much fun. Thank you so much, Dr. Nicole, for coming onto the show and providing us with so many valuable insights. You are now an official friend of the podcast, meaning you are welcome to come back whenever the fuck you want.
Honored. Next time I'm in LA, I'll have to let you know.
Yes,
One of my
please
lovers
do.
just moved out there, so
Oh, that's
and
so cool.
I love visiting LA, so
All
definitely invite you.
right. And next time I'm in Chicago, I'll definitely let you know as well. Like I said,
Totally.
I'm going to try to see if I can make it back for the Pride Parade and all the festivities. So, yes.
Yeah, it's a magical time out here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And if you all are listening, like I encourage you all to just stop by Chicago, get some food, go to the Pride Parade around then too. It'd be a nice hot time in Chicago. Go to the beach, all the good stuff. All this stuff that you just heard Dr. Nicole and I talk about at the top of the show, I promise you'll have a good time. Like just go to Chicago. You won't regret it.
Absolutely. Unless it's the winter time.
Exactly.
Do not come here in the winter. It's not for the faint of heart over here. It is cold.
Oh, yes.
June, great time. Come to the lake. Come hang out.
Right. It's like you don't want to be there past September.
Not unless you want to be hardened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, can you let them know how they can connect with you if you want to promote any social media channels, drop your websites, all the stuff? Tell us.
Yes, it's been such a joy to connect with all of you. You can find all of my stuff at modernanarchypodcast.com. That's where I have all of my free worksheets. The pleasure wheel we talked about, worksheets for crafting clear commitments in your non monogamous relationships, and also reflection practices to do with your partners to deepen intimacy, as well as all of my group programs, the podcast, how to work with me, my free book. Yes, the Psychedelic Jealousy Guide. Again, I'm very passionate about creating free resources for the movement and helping to raise the consciousness around intimacy and sex and relationships and what is possible in pleasure. So, all of that is at modernanarchypodcast.com. And I look forward to hearing from your guest and seeing them, connecting with me, sending a message. So, love to hear from folks.
Yes, yes, yeah, and that's the one thing too, like, especially on social media, like, the listeners, especially on Instagram, they're they definitely, are the most engaged, and they love the guests that come on, so
Mm.
I already know you're gonna be getting so much love, all of it,
Good,
all of it.
good. Yeah, and I read every message, right? Every single message
Yes.
I come through, I read, so I appreciate that. It's such a joy to connect.
For sure, for sure. Well, whether you all are on a boat, a plane, a train, hey, maybe you could be right now sitting in your bedroom thinking, when can I work with Dr. Nicole? Well, the time is now. You could take Situations Podcast with you wherever you go, and definitely go listen to Modern Anarchy Podcast and get the ebook, get all of the stuff. And yeah, with that, I will see you all back here for the next episode in a couple of weeks. Woo!
Ooh.